Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Doing Virtue podcast. We recorded an episode with Nathan Price, who is the co-founder of Shepard's, which is a menswear brand based out of Kansas City. We recorded this episode a little while ago, and the beginning, about the first 15 minutes, got corrupted. So I'm going to re-record a little bio for you, so you get some background on who Nathan is and what Shepard's is, and then we'll get right into the interview. So here we go. Nathan Price, he's the co-founder and chief product officer of Shepard's, which is a Kansas City-based menswear brand known for its made-to-measure garments and commitment to exceptional fit and timeless style. Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, Nathan developed a passion for entrepreneurship and clothing at an early age. He began his career at Men's Wearhouse and later expanded his expertise in custom clothing through experiences in Milan, Prague, Portugal, and Spain. These travels deepened his appreciation for the old world craftsmanship and high-quality fabrics. Before co-founding Shepard's, he honed his skills at Beckett & Robb, a custom clothier based in Salt Lake City, Utah. He then returned to Kansas City to lead the flagship store, where he met Harrison Butker, the Kansas City Chiefs kicker, who would become his business partner. Together with co-founders Chris Cottrell and Austin Wright, all practicing Catholics, they established Shepard's, aiming to elevate men's fashion while integrating their shared values. At Shepard's, Nathan oversees product development, ensuring each garment reflects the brand's dedication to quality and customer satisfaction. The company offers a personalized fitting process, providing clients with tailored suits, sports jackets, trousers, shirts, and tuxedos. Nathan's journey from St. Louis to Kansas City, coupled with his extensive experience in the menswear industry, and additionally his commitment to integrating faith in fashion, has positioned him as a significant figure in the Kansas City fashion scene. And without further ado, I will give you the rest of the episode that we had with Nathan. We really appreciated his time, and we look forward to all the great things that Shepard's is going to come out with in the coming years. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. We were doing audio, so we'll click on the video, and then we can clip this, so it's a little bit better.
Okay, I will try to make this very simple because I can talk forever about this. So this book is from Drago in Biella, Italy. And this is a worsted suit cloth. It's very flat. This is a charcoal gray, has a bit of a sheen to it, no noticeable pattern. This is a really great four-season suit that you can wear for really any occasion. Very, very, very conservative. Now, this is a wool, silk, and linen blend. Let's choose something in actually the exact same color family, which you'll see when you, okay, here is charcoal gray in wool, silk, and linen.
Okay.
So you can immediately see the fabric is more open. You can almost, in a way, kind of see through it. You see some flecks of white, things like that. So that is the linen being added in. And because it's such a thick fiber, it's really hard sometimes to get it to weave straight. So you end up getting kind of these, and I'll show you one that's really like more obvious. This is like a navy blue. You can see it's irregular. It's kind of all over the place. Now that's a great fabric for a lightweight spring summer suit. It'd be great to get married in the spring summer or wear it to the office. You can make that as a really great lightweight summer sport coat. But if you came to me for your first suit and said I need a suit for every occasion, my job interview, I would say, hey, that's not a great place to start. My first place to start would be the flat worsted wool. Just simple, conservative, not too much going on.
Yeah. Okay. I think for the benefit of people listening, could we go over the kind of the basic parts of the suit, and then from there we can maybe go into how what shirt to pair with it, what pants to pair with it, like what colors are you matching, that type of thing. I think that would be interesting.
Okay, basic fundamentals, and I'll start very rudimentary because I get this sometimes from clients. So a suit, a classic suit is a jacket and trouser that are the exact same fabric. Some guys will call, like what I'm wearing a sports jacket with a different color pair of pants today. They'll call that a suit because it has a jacket. That is not a suit. A suit is matching jacket and trousers. If you have a jacket and a different color pair of trousers, you could call those separates. You could call them odd trousers. You could call it a combination, but that's not a suit, and it's inherently more casual because there is visual separation in what you're wearing. Okay, parts of a suit. So the portion that goes around your neck is called the collar, for fairly obvious reasons. The portion up here that kind of rolls over is the lapel, and then there's different styles of lapels. This, what I'm wearing today, is a notch lapel. This is the most classic conservative. It's just where it kind of takes a bite out of the lapel fabric. There's other ones. There's a shawl lapel, which is kind of rounded, which you see on tuxedos. There's also a peak lapel, where the lapel points up towards your shoulder. That's a little bit more fashion forward. That's worn a lot by like Harvey Specter on suits. I think all of his suits have a very strong, like bold peak lapel. Then as you work your way down, you work into the buttons on the front of the jacket. Almost all modern suits today are 2-button. Tuxedos should be 1-button. And then you have the pockets. There's pockets with flaps. There's straight pockets with no flap, which is called a jetted pocket. And then for what I find is best for sport coats is what's called a patch pocket, where it literally looks like a patch that is slapped on the outside of the jacket. That is the most casual. I actually have it on my jacket today. And then the portion on the back that kind of flaps around is called the vents. Older jackets from the 90s and early 2000s, you'll see one slit kind of in the middle of your, the small of your back. That's a single vent. Most jackets today have 2 vents or vents on both sides. I actually prefer that, and 99% of the jackets we make here at Shepard's have 2 vents, because if you put your hand in your pocket, the vent will stay closed and keep your seat covered, which I think is more flattering than when you put your hand in your pocket and there's one vent, it pops open. So
gotcha.
And then pants. I think people have a pretty good handle on pants. There's
they're pretty simple. Yeah.
Waistband and a fly, and that's about it.
And I think I saw on your website you do sell pants. You can either get the pants with a button in the front, or you can also get the kind of older, I don't know if it's like a cinch style. It almost looks like the back of a vest, but you've got the kind of the 2 flaps or little.
Yeah.
I know there's probably a term for it, but you can tighten them on both sides.
Yes. So those are called side tabs. Most folks, if you rented a tux for your wedding, you might have had those. If you rented a tux for prom, they might have had them. We very much prefer side tabs here at Shepard's. I think that when you're wearing a suit and you have a bulky belt buckle right at your waistline, I find it very distracting. So if you have a pair of pants that's fit to you correctly, and it fits your waist and your hips perfectly. I have not worn a belt in 5 years. I put them on all of my pants. I just think that it looks a lot cleaner. It's also a little bit easier because if you buy a new pair of shoes, you don't have to think about, do I have the matching belt? In my opinion, it makes getting dressed easier. That said, despite myself and Harrison and some others being fans of it, I would say 70% of the pants we sell have belt loops because that's what guys are used to, and that's totally fine. But for those who are willing to try it, or who ask, hey, this is my first custom suit, like what should I do? Like what should I do different? I always recommend side tabs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those pants, you don't because I think typically when you see pants that have side tabs, it's like they're like pants from the 20s where you actually wear them higher. Do you make them that way, or are they made to sit at the waist, but you just have tabs instead of a belt?
So we can make them either way. Okay. My personal preference and where you're supposed to wear a suit trouser, I have to educate guys on this, is your suit trouser should fit around your like natural waist or closer to your hips. You should wear them higher. They should not be cut like jeans or sweatpants. The idea is having, and I know that this might sound crazy, but having a little bit wider of a leg to allow the pant to sit higher, and by wearing them higher, is going to visually elongate your leg line, which makes you look taller. When you wear trousers like you wear jeans, which is really low and like low on your hips, it actually makes you look shorter. So oftentimes some of the photos that we post of whether it's myself or Harrison or, some other guys, if they look really tall and lean, sometimes there's a little bit of a visual trick to where they're wearing their pants, either right below their belly button or right around there.
What's the reason that changed? Is that just a style thing, or would you chalk that up to like Americans nowadays as compared to the 20s tend to be a little bit heavier, and so it's a harder fit if you have a larger stomach, you can't really wear them as high because they kind of have to be worn down below for more comfort?
Sure. So oftentimes we can trace men's style history to the military. But the funny thing is, during World War II, if you look at photos of troops wearing the uniform, a lot of them wore their pants, pretty high. If you watch old like World War II movies, their pants are worn, up above their hips and at their natural waist. I think the biggest thing is the way that retail has shifted. I think that when you wear when you go into the store and you get a pair of pants that's cut more roomy at the hips and at the waist, you're going to have to leave it for alterations, and they're going to have to tweak a few things. Maybe you're a guy who's got like me, I have very wide hips. And so almost on every pair of pants that I have to make, my hips are wider than my waist. So I almost always, if I'm buying off the rack, have to bring the waist in. And I think our culture has shifted to, I want to walk in and buy it now and walk out. And they don't want to wait. They think of things last minute. I'm going to an event tonight, I'll go buy a new pair of pants or a new suit off the shelf. It used to be not that long ago, like our grandparents' generation, where clothing was still being made individually for every single person. And then I think with large retail, the Sears catalog, some of these things that have made buying things easier, the manufacturers decided to make things fit differently.
Do you ever wake up and have a craving for Italian food? If that's the case, you should check out Osteria Maria's here in Front Royal, Virginia. Osteria's is where authentic Italian cuisine meets heartfelt hospitality. From Neapolitan wood-fired pizzas to handcrafted pastas and curated wines, each and every dish reflects true Italian tradition. We actually had owner Chef Biagio on the podcast, episode 42. Give it a listen. Osteria Maria's, where Italy comes to the Shenandoah Valley. Come for dinner Tuesday through Saturday, 5 to 9 p.m., or visit osteriamaria510.com for reservations. And be sure to follow them on Instagram at osteria.maria. Check them out. Thanks. So we've talked about suit coats and pants. Let's talk about dress shirts a little bit. What are some general kind of basic rules for dress shirts? I was always taught that if you are wearing a solid suit coat, you could wear a plain dress shirt, or you can wear striped. And as you're wearing right now, you can have a textured or striped suit coat or sports jacket, but then you should wear a solid shirt. Is that generally true, or do you think that you can mix and match a little bit more than that?
Generally true. I always tell our guys here that your first 10 shirts should be white, light blue, or some variation. The variation being stripes, like white and blue stripes. They go with nearly everything. And then from there, you can kind of add your own taste and personal style preferences. For myself, when I'm wearing a jacket or a full suit that's very bold, I don't want what I'm wearing to be all competing. If I had a really thick striped shirt and a pattern tie, then there's just a lot going on. And also just with getting dressed in the morning, it just makes it harder. So for what I'm wearing today, I would wear a white shirt, a blue shirt, a very thin white and blue striped shirt could go with this, but I'm not going to go super crazy. Typically when I'm wearing sports jackets that are this bold, I almost never wear a tie, because the bolder you get with pattern, the bolder the pattern, the less formal it is. So then you almost run into kind of this juxtaposition where you're wearing a tie, which signals you're dressing up, but then you're wearing something really loud, which is inherently casual. So, I would say for most guys who are working in an office and they've got, or, going to mass, and they've got a gray suit and a blue suit that are solid, maybe they wear a blue sport coat to work a few times. starting with a really good foundation of white, blue, and white and blue stripes, you can nearly close your eyes and put it with any pair of pants and jacket, and you're going to be good to go. I think a lot of times guys get this wrong where they want to be creative or go outside the box. And so they buy shirts that are wild colors like oranges or greens or teal or things like that. It's way too much. Just like, and those are the same guys who come to me who go, I have a bunch of stuff and nothing to wear because it complicates things. Yeah. Your first 10 shirts should be white, light blue, or some variation of white and light blue.
And with those shirts, is it a good idea to just get a solid tie, like a black or a blue tie that match, or is it better to find some type of variety with the tie that you wear with the white, or if it's a white or a solid blue shirt, then you can wear the blue and white striped tie or something like that?
Yeah, I would. So to your question, I would recommend not getting or wearing a black tie unless you're wearing a tuxedo. When it comes to style, there's a large miscongruence there. Black tie, like by its very nature, by its name, is the most formal way to dress up. So then you wear that with a white and blue striped shirt with a gray suit, you're all over the place. So only wear the black tie if you're going to a wedding or you're a guest at a wedding or you're going to a gala. Solid ties are a great place to start. I also think ties with a very small pattern are pretty easy to match. Some of my favorites, and I wish I had. I could grab some. Some of the ties that we have here are very small repeat pattern to wear, like they're small geometric shapes or maybe a small, like floral design. Those are fairly easy to put with either a solid shirt or a striped shirt. And I would recommend picking things that are within the same color family. So if I'm wearing navy blue, I like ties that are green or brown or very dark shades of like burgundy or plum, things that have some blue in them. I don't go like electric red or orange or yellow. Those things to me just then the tie is getting all the attention. And the idea I think behind dressing well is that you want to like as a man, you want to communicate confidence and respect. And when you have some part of your outfit that's just like begging for attention, I think that's kind of a self-defeating philosophy.
Yeah. Is the idea of not kind of wearing something to draw attention, or I guess if you have like a more dominant color or pattern, to not try to compete with that? Yes. What's the priority? Is it the suit coat? Is it the shirt? It seems like it would be the suit coat, or the sports jacket. Is that true? That would be the priority.
One of my old managers at Beckett and Robb, and the guys, I would encourage any of your listeners, if they want some great style inspiration, their Instagram is Beckett and Robb, or I think it's Beckett Robb, is just all like all one word. The guys there have they're really dialed in on kind of doing the whole shirt, tie, suit thing. The philosophy that was taught to me is called anchoring. So some part of your outfit has to be the anchor if you're going to do anything wild. So if you're going to wear a wild suit jacket or sport coat, that's going to be the focal point. So then everything else has to anchor it. So you probably should go simple with your shirt and go simple with your tie. And if any of the audience follows the Shepard's Instagram and the stuff that they post of me, you'll notice when I wear things that are very bold, I either don't have a tie on and my shirt is simple. So so the easiest way to go is if you have a plain blue suit, plain gray suit, then that automatically serves as your anchor. And then you can mix and match however you want. You can go striped shirt, you can go check shirt, you can go plain shirt and go with some crazy tie that your kids gave you for Father's Day, right? Like I think that every outfit should have an anchor, and you just have to pick out what that is. And if you wear the wild tie, then keep the shirt and the suit fairly simple. And if, occasionally I have some pretty wild suits. If you wear a wild check striped suit, then keep everything else simple. It also makes it a lot easier to get dressed because you don't have to think about, well, I've got this big check and then will this go with this? And if I got it just makes it so much easier. I think it's a very easy principle. I think some people in this industry will disagree with me. They're like, oh, just throw whatever patterns out there and go for it. But I think in my own experience, wearing a suit every day for the better part of like almost 10 years, it's much easier to find an anchor and then experiment from there.
Yeah. Do you think that's true with vests as well? And I guess maybe the follow-up question to that would be, is it ever okay to wear a vest that's not the same color as the suit coat? Because I think I've seen it done tastefully, but a lot of the times you can tell it's a different material and a different color, and it doesn't look that great. And it only, again, kind of just a generalization, but the only times I've seen people wearing vests, either with a bow tie or with a suit or with a tie and a nice coat that matches, it matches the pants and the coat. Like right, the vest, the pants, and the coat all match, and that looks good. But when it's a different color, I can't say that I've seen it look very good.
Yes, you're actually onto something that's I talk to my clients about all the time, which is there are certain fabrics that are meant to be separated and mixed or mixed and matched, and some that are not. So where a vest can look good, a vest will always look good as a three-piece suit with its matching jacket and trouser. The It's very difficult, near impossible, to take two worsted fabrics and combine them or wear them separately. What do I mean by that? If you have a blue worsted wool suit and a gray worsted wool suit, if you and a lot of guys do this, you take the blue worsted wool suit and you're like, okay, this is my sport coat. I'm going to wear it with jeans. What oftentimes is communicated is people don't know how to put their finger on it. Kind of like you, Anthony. They're just like, there's something off about it. And what's off about it is it's designed, it's that shiny, it's that smooth of a material because it's designed to sit with all of the other pieces with it. So the only time where I would necessarily recommend wearing a vest differently is if you had a vest, if you were wearing an outfit that was more casual by nature. So if I wanted to, if I had this on, which this is kind of like a cream, kind of honey colored sport coat, blue shirt. This is, a fall winter jacket. If I had like a dark brown tweed vest on underneath this, now I've got different colors, different textures. That all works. It doesn't look as good when you just take, hey, I have this three-piece suit, this three-piece suit. Like, let me just throw it together. Yeah, it's funny that you picked up on that because it's when it's all together, it looks phenomenal. But you start breaking apart, it's worsted suits, and they just
yeah. I don't know if you've seen this, but I think something that I have seen quite a bit. We don't have a Latin Mass community. Well, we do have a Latin Mass community here, but there's not like a fraternity or SSPX. Actual established parish really in Front Royal here where we are. But something that I've seen is that typically the crowd that goes to the Old Mass tries to dress better.
Sure.
And I think the older half, maybe you would say, does dress better because they have suits that they've owned for 20 or 30 years. And I think the problem is the younger half wants to dress better, but they're going to like Kmart or JC Penney's or something. Not that those places have bad suits, but then they try to mix them. So constantly I'll see people and again, this is kind of this is a huge generalization. It's not at every mass, and it's also true for different communities. But I think specifically the Latin Mass does elicit a certain type of reverence that people try to match in the congregation. And so you see people wearing three-piece suits or suit and tie or whatever more so. But I think that our generation, or maybe even a younger generation, they'll take a black vest that's the same material and they'll wear it with this kind of a suit coat and then like a striped tie and then dress boots. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's really stylistically, I think you're checking all the boxes, but it doesn't look good. And then you see another guy who's like a nice gray three-piece suit and dress shoes, and you're like, oh, that actually looks good. And they're not really doing that much different, but it looks bad. Like it looks cheap, or it looks, I don't know what it is, but it's odd.
There's a lot of variables, right? You have the quality of the garment. A
Mm,
nice suit is going to look better than a cheap one. Then you have fit, and oftentimes the young guys they'll go to a J.C. Penney where they don't have a sales rep to help them. They just put on something that it feels good, but they have no idea how a suit is supposed to fit or what to look for. So they pick out something that's either too big or oftentimes way too tight.
mm.
Because they think that a suit coat should fit like a hoodie, so they're like squeezing into this thing. And then I get it, right? There's a JC Penney's having a sale. You can get two suits for $400, and so okay, great. Like blue and gray go together. I'll just mix and match that, or black and gray go. And I trust me, we could put some photos up of me at Men's Warehouse, and I would lose all of my credibility like right away. I've made every mistake in the book, so it's not coming from a place of being judgmental. It's um, I understand why they're doing it, and I
Mhm.
appreciate that they are giving their best on Sunday, and they're trying to get more use out of the things that they buy. I think that that's very, like irresponsible and prudent. And I've had guys like that who plenty of Catholic guys come in here who go to mass every Sunday and they're like, okay, I gained weight, lost weight, wore out my last suit. I need to buy two more. What should I do? And we have that conversation about what they want to accomplish. And do you want to mix and match this suit? Yeah, I would like to. Like that'll get me more use for my spend. Okay, let's point you towards fabrics
Mm.
that will not have you look silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to put my finger on it. You're right. It's probably a mixture of a cheaper suit material and then also maybe just mixing materials where you have like a wool jacket, like something like you're wearing, but then you have a vest made out of like this kind of polyester suit that I'm wearing,
Yes.
and you mix that and it's like, well, but there's gray in the jacket and there's this is gray, so that should match,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
You
look right. It doesn't
have
look
a
right.
you have a very formal, smooth, flat vest with a very textured, more casual jacket. Yes,
Mm.
it is
Yeah.
completely communicating the exact opposite message. I I'm sure you guys have seen this one too. The guy will get married and he gets a patent leather black shoes and then wears the patent leather black shoes with his like tux shoes with his suit every Sunday to mass because that's the pair of dress shoes that he bought when he got married and that's the only pair of dress shoes that's another one where it's you're completely communicating
Mm.
two different things. The patent leather shoe should only be worn with a tuxedo and then your suit should be worn with another pair of dress shoes. I mean, it happens all the time. I think guys are very simple. They think color and suit means I'm dressed up, so everything goes. And the real like art and like the learning part of it is there's a
Mm.
lot more to it, and that's where I love what I do, and I love guiding guys through that so that they don't make those mistakes.
Do you think that there is a place for dress boots, or is that
Yeah,
something that you're not
100%.
into? There
100%.
is.
Oh, absolutely.
So is it suit dependent then? Just depends on the type of suit and the type of fit.
Depends on the type of boot, depends on the type of suit. So I have several pairs of dress boots. The most formal that you could wear with a like a four season like a worsted wool suit would be something either really dark brown or black, and it's a a higher up boot. It's not an ankle boot. It's not a chukka boot. It's leather. It comes up above your ankle. It's a taller boot, and ideally the toe has little to minimal design on it as possible, right? And I have a pair of boots like that. And then you boots by very nature are more casual, so then as you get into your sport coat and jeans or your sport coat and khakis or a flannel suit or a tweed suit, things like that, then boots really look awesome. Those in the fall winter months where the boot is like in its proper element with
Hmm.
so like if you go out to like a men's night or you go out on a date with your wife and you're in, and I see it here at the restaurants around here on Friday and Saturday nights, like you're in a really nice pair of boots and a dark wash pair of jeans and like a tweed or just like nice sport coat, looks awesome. Absolutely.
Right. But then as you go to full suit or tuxedo, all of a sudden it starts looking really bad.
It not necessarily really bad. You have to. It's like it's tactical. You have to have the
Mm.
right equipment. So
Okay.
a boot with a really chunky, like grippy sole, even if it's leather. is going to look weird next to a very dressy, formal navy blue suit. That boot is great with your jeans and a sport coat, a heavier, like a tweed type of suit. So you have to match the formality to what you're wearing.
Okay. That makes sense.
I have one question. So all this, obviously,
Is this the only one?
This is the only one, and then it's all back to Anthony.
Back to me. Okay.
No. So obviously, you're in business, and you have this business that you want to help men look good, and as you've been saying, you want them to be able to kind of know what not to do, or really, and also more positively, like what they should be doing with their suits and everything. Is there, if there was, like, if you could kind of get on your pedestal, and maybe you already kind of are on your pedestal, on a pedestal now, being like, even just being on a podcast talking about this, not in a not in a condescending way, obviously, but sorry, but
he definitely took it that way.
So like, if like, and maybe you don't do this, but if you had the opportunity to have any number of guys from Kansas City come into your store, and like, you want to talk to them about this thing, because this thing is kind of a principle that, like, everyone needs to know, what would that be? And do you talk about that, like, pretty often, like when people come in, or is that something that you'd like to talk about more, but there's just not enough time when you're kind of showing people what they kind of want?
Yeah. I don't talk like my, like, I guess what we're kind of getting at are like big, like, style, like, some things that like every guy kind of violates that you want to like help, guide them on. No, I don't sit down and start off with like, here's the 10 commandments of what not to do. I kind of weave it into the meeting and the way that I'm fitting them, right? So a big one for me is pants that are too long. Sometimes guys will go to the store and suit pants usually come really long, and the idea is that you have them hemmed. I swear, some guys I see out, they bought the pants and thought that they're supposed to be that long. No, if you have a puddle or a mountain around your shoe, that is not the way that it's supposed to look. So like, I wouldn't tell someone when they came in, like, hey, your pants are too long. It's when I'm fitting them for a trouser, I'm telling them, hey, this should sit like right at your shoe and have a break, or maybe no break on your shoe. That's the length where the eye is going to follow the line of your shoe. It's going to then easily transfer up the leg and make you look very tall and lean. If you have a puddle on top of your shoe, it makes you, like, the balance of your body look very bottom heavy, which a lot of tailoring and dressing is a lot of kind of visual and like eye type of things. So pant length being too long is definitely one. Anthony got it right with like mixing and trying to mix and match when you really shouldn't. Like, it's okay to own one suit and wear that to mass, and just wear that one suit and make it interesting with your shirts and ties. Like, don't try to start mixing and matching when it's not going to look good. And one of the other big ones is, and I say this as a guy who doesn't sell shoes, but invest in your shoes. I have seen suits that cost $300 that look amazing because it fits well and the shoes look great. And I have seen my suits, which cost 10 times that, with $100 pair of shoes, that the whole outfit looks terrible. So those are my like, and I'll tell you this, my business is selling clothing. I would much rather you put the $300 into a really nice pair of shoes and then back for the suit, than go buy a pair of shoes at wherever and it looks terrible with the suit that you've now spent all this money on. I will also say, for those of us who are, dating or married, or the first thing that women notice are your shoes. So, and I've heard that from tons of wives who come in here. I've heard from my own wife. Yeah, it's something that they notice. So if you're on a date or you're taking your wife out, or you just want to stay looking fresh, it is worth the investment.
St. Jerome famously said, "Ignorance of Scripture is ignorance of Christ." As Catholic Christians, we need to be immersed in the inspired Word of God to encounter Jesus Christ, the incarnate Word of God. To take your Scripture study to the next level, go check out the completed Bible study courses with Dr. Nicholas Liebisch, available at scriptureandtradition.com. You can log into the massive and ever-growing audio library and stream whatever course you want whenever you want. Every Bible study comes with detailed lesson outlines based on the most trusted and reliable Catholic commentaries and scholars available today. Dr. Liebisch has 20 years experience teaching Scripture, and not only are you going to find his approach masterfully designed and organized, but also easy to understand, humorous, insightful, and extremely helpful for your spiritual life. If you want to know Jesus better, you've got to know Scripture better. Go to scriptureandtradition.com and start listening to these Bible studies regularly. You can trust that Dr. Liebisch's courses will open your eyes to God's Word in incredible ways. Visit scriptureandtradition.com and use the promo code DVPOD for 10% off your student membership. That's DVPOD, DVPOD, for 10% off your student membership. Go check them out. Do you think that most people can so for the longest time, and this is probably not true, I don't think this is really true anymore, but for the longest time, especially in high school when I had no money, I just had a pair of black shoes and a pair of brown shoes, and I bought a belt that matched each. And then I would just, like, that's what my dad told me. It's like, okay, like a couple of the basics I remember him telling me was like, don't just like, if you don't have a tie on, don't button your top button. And if you're wearing brown shoes, wear the brown belt. Like, that was pretty much it. And for a long time, that's all I wore. But then I started being like, oh, but I could get darker brown or lighter brown or boots or different things. But do you think that, generally speaking, if you get a nice pair of brown shoes and a nice pair of black shoes, that can get you through almost anything, with maybe the exception of a tuxedo where you want the shiny black, or a really casual boot or a boat shoe or something like that? Can those two shoes essentially ride the wave most of the way?
Yes. I think it's dependent upon also your career field. If you're if you're an attorney and you're wearing a suit 5 days a week, I would say that you need more dress shoes. You'll wear those two out fairly quickly. I also think it's matching the formality to the outfit. So if you work in a business casual office and you're wearing chinos and a golf polo, and you show up in a very sleek, with no decoration, black dress shoe, it looks a little off. So I would say, know what you do for work, know your lifestyle, and then buy your shoes accordingly. Like my personal shoe closet. Most of the time, because here in Kansas City, it's not a big suit town. It's a lot of sports jacket and jeans, sports jacket and khakis type of town. I'm probably in a sports jacket and slacks 3 out of the 5 days a week. And what comes along with that is my shoes are a lot of, I do a lot of loafers. Because those are inherently more casual than a lace up. A lot of suede penny loafers, a lot of leather penny loafers in browns, and tans and chocolates, because I find that they go with that. And when I worked in an office for the Gentleman's Gazette, I almost never wore like my black lace ups, because I was never in really, like, that is like dressed up suit and tie, very formal type of shoe. And there's websites out there, guys can Google it. There's like a shoe formality hierarchy where they'll show you like what you're wearing and what's appropriate. And in general, I would agree with most of those that I've seen. So yes, you're right. For a guy, if you're like working from home and the only time where you wear dress shoes to take your wife out or go to mass, yeah, you probably just need those two. But if you're going to mass in khakis and a dress shirt and a sweater, maybe you don't need a black lace up. You would be better served getting a suede penny loafer or something like that. So it's just understanding.
Okay. Two quick questions I want to ask you, and then I have we can kind of move on from the rules of clothing, as it were. And this is not to say that what you say is the definitive statement. I just feel like you have a good grip on style, and so I'm curious. Sure. Are there shoes that you should not wear socks with, and that is actually the proper shoe? Because it bothers me, but I think it's just because you see women doing it with the like the boating shoe that lace up on kind of right on the end, but that I think is more of a women's style anyway, because they have flats and they have heels, and you don't wear socks with any of those, or but men will wear and And maybe it's more, I think it actually might be more highlighted by the fact that they wear pants that are too short and roll them up. But I don't want to go to mass and see a guy wearing a suit coat and slacks, maybe a tie, and then I can see like 4 inches of his ankle. To me, that doesn't seem stylish. Now, maybe there are shoes that are supposed to be barefoot shoes, but I guess I haven't seen it in a context where I think it looks good. And I'm just curious of your opinion on that.
Great. So all of these exercises I've talked to you guys through with dressing is actually exactly how I dress Harrison for football. So the first thing when it comes to going sockless is the season. If you are wearing any shoe to mass and it's the middle of winter without socks, it just looks ridiculous, right? So it should only be done once the mercury cracks 70. And once you start needing to be cool, when you're wearing a suit. The second is the equipment. So wearing no socks should be done with the most casual of things, because not wearing socks and showing off a part of skin is inherently more casual. So for casual wear, like if you're knocking around on the weekend and you're wearing boat shoes with shorts, sure, like go for it. If you're going to church and it's like a weekday mass and you're like running to work and you're wearing khakis and boat shoes and a polo, like totally fine. And it's the middle of July, sure, totally. You'll notice like Harrison, when he does a lot of sockless stuff, it's always with lightweight, like white or cream or like linen pants in like August or September. I would venture to guess he's almost never wearing a tie. It's tieless with a sport coat. So we're keeping things on the most casual end. And then you'll notice that the pants being white or cream, it's a more casual color. The sport coat is usually brighter colors, greens, blues, teals. So what we're signaling is everything is in congruence. Like you're wearing a casual footwear, you're wearing no socks, you're wearing like the most casual form of tailoring possible. But when we have to button up and we're going to New England in December, yeah, then he's wearing a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie, socks, dress shoes. There's no sockless. So can it be done? Yes. Should it be done with a worstable suit with a shirt and tie and lace-up shoes? No. Because again, there's an incongruence in formality. You're wearing a very formal outfit. Everything else you're signaling is very formal, and then you just like, this was an afterthought. So everything needs to be in harmony.
Okay, that makes sense. Is that also true with people who wear like crazy patterned socks? Like if you wear a wild patterned sock, that is kind of it's kind of a symbol of it being casual, and you're wearing khakis, maybe you're wearing a polo, whatever, but like you wouldn't go to a black tie event in a full tuxedo and then have like polka dot socks. I mean, some people would, but typically you shouldn't.
Absolutely nailed it. Yeah. There's some people online who really hate on pattern socks, and look, I get it. People get them as gifts. People get them from their spouse. They're like, I don't necessarily hate on them a whole ton. It's, again, you have to know the context. So if you're going to work and you're wearing a pair of khakis and you got a pair of boat shoes or loafers on or whatever, and you're wearing a polo, yeah, then that's relatively pretty casual and you can wear that. But no, I wouldn't wear it with my most formal suit. I wouldn't wear it with a tuxedo. I wouldn't do any of that. No.
Awesome. I think that answered all my questions. Yeah, that's great. Can we get into? It was funny. I was kind of trying to do some research before this, and typically I don't research the guests that much. Like I reach out to them. There's a reason I want to talk to them. I know a little bit about them, enough to just kind of riff for a minute maybe. But then the rest of it, I want to find out when I actually talk to them. But I looked up your co-partner, Chris. Is it Chris Cottrell? And he has a little Instagram page, a couple posts. And one of the posts I looked at, I think it was from the summer of last year. There was like 6 people in the photo that I know. And I was like, what a weird clash of worlds. So I think Father Akers was in it, who, he went to Christendom. He knows my folks. Matt Marcolini was actually supposed to be on the podcast not too long ago, but had to cancel, so he'll come on soon. Michael Knowles, like there were all these people just at a table talking, and I was like, "What is going on at this table? Like, is this like what convention is happening in Kansas City?" I'm just curious what that is, and then we can kind of get into maybe some of the partnership stuff and stuff
Sure.
next.
So that was the Regina Chaley Catholic Homeschool Gala. That was in Nashville last May.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Harrison is on the board of that organization. Michael Knowles was an honorary speaker at that gala, which was fundraising for this Catholic homeschool. And then Matt Walsh also was there as a speaker, and Matt's wife Alyssa asked, because Harrison was there and everything else, asked if Shepard's would be a sponsor and make some tuxedos or suits for the speakers, one of which was Harrison, one was Matt. So we did, and then Chris and myself went to the gala, which was great. And then afterwards, Michael Knowles is a big cigar connoisseur, so he asked a selection of us to go out with him to the club that he frequents, and that's where that photo was taken.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I was curious. I think I saw, because that's a annual thing. I think Father Mike is going this year. Is that right?
Yes, he is. That's
okay.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's get into some of the different partnerships that you guys have. I guess Harrison is kind of the main one because he's involved in the company, and we don't have to go into it too extensively, but I'm just curious what that relationship is like. Does he come in every once in a while and you make him some new suits, or is it just you get to be creative and you just send him stuff because you know his size and then he wears it? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So Harrison has been involved with Shepard's down to like our naming, branding, colors since the very beginning. This is very much a company that he fully supports and is involved with. He's not just like a brand ambassador who looks pretty and wears our clothes.
Okay.
No, this was a company that we started with him from the ground up, and he's been very involved in the foundation of it. Now I say that he's not in here measuring people for suits, obviously, but he's very involved with the high level, where we want to go, who do we want to get in front of, things like that. As far as his wardrobe's concerned, yeah, I've been fitting Harrison for suits for the last 4 years, so we've kind of got his fit and everything dialed to where during football season, I make and design all the stuff that he wears for every game. He wears our stuff. He wears a sports jacket and slacks for home games and a full suit for road games. And then I'll go through the team schedule when it's released in like July or June or whatever it is, and go through and look at where they're playing, what time of year, and then start to kind of formulate my ideas from there. We try to take into account stuff that no one else in the league is wearing, things that haven't been seen before. We try not to do the same thing twice. So, and then I make those suits for him, and he wears them. And then it kind of serves double, because then he does a lot of events during the off season. There was recently a photo of him at the White House with President Trump.
Yeah,
he was wearing.
I remember seeing that. I showed my wife that, and I was like, "Hey, this suit here? We're going to talk to the guy that made this." And she was like, "Oh, that's really cool." I was like, "No, not Trump's suit, Harrison Butker's."
Yeah, so
maybe someday. But
the jacket that he was wearing and the trousers, yeah, that was all ours. He wore that sport coat in the preseason, and the trousers was something else during the regular season. So then he also gets a lot of use out of it off the field too. At all these charity events and sponsorships and speaking appearances and all this stuff, he's always wearing our stuff as well. And then since he's become a little bit more famous after some particular news events this past year, then he's also being invited within the circles of people that we like to collaborate with. So the Michael Knowleses, the Matt Walshes, etc. And then he's a great ambassador for then getting our stuff onto those guys. So that's kind of the relationship. So whenever there's like a 10,000 foot vision of the company and where we want to go, big decisions, he gets involved. But on the day to day, it's myself and Chris running the company.
Okay. Did the collaboration with Knowles come about through Harrison, or did he reach out to you?
So Alyssa Walsh, Matt's wife, had reached out. Harrison was on the board of Regina Chaley. She reached out to us to make the suits for the speakers. So I went to Nashville March of last year, and I was originally only supposed to make a suit for Matt. So I went to the Daily Wire, went to their green room, and did a fitting for Matt. Matt picked out what he wanted to wear. And then as I'm like 80% of the way through the fitting, Michael Knowles walks in. So we got to talking, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here. Do you mind if I just just grab your size and things like that?" Michael's very much into suiting and tailoring. He's a very dress up type of guy. Oh yeah, sure, great. And then I believe when I met him, he was not scheduled to be at the event. And then Alyssa Walsh reached out like a week later and said, "Hey, I heard that you ran into Michael. Michael's actually going to be at the event. Would you mind making him a suit too?" Sure, absolutely. Then Michael got his suit, and Michael was over the moon about it, and just thrilled. And so that's what got my gears turning. And before I knew I would see him in Nashville, I called him to let him know that I was shipping him his suit for this event. And I just said, "Hey, have you ever thought about making a smoking jacket?" And he said, "Well, I love this smoking jacket I've had since college. It's falling apart, but I absolutely love it. Yeah, let's talk to the Mayflower team and see if that's something that we want to do." So when we were in Nashville for that event in May, I went back to the office and talked to their business team, gave them the whole idea. And then that night we were sitting there I had no idea how I did in pitching that. And we were at dinner that night at the gala, and Michael comes over and slaps me on the shoulder, and he's like, "You guys crushed that. They're all in. We're going to do this thing." And so we kind of sped through the process of designing everything, and very much with Michael being hands-on the entire way. And then we launched it in October, and it sold out in 24 hours, which was wild. So,
And how many suits did you make when it sold out? Is it 50 or 100?
I can't disclose that, but somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I remember him talking on his show. Maybe he didn't say a certain number. I thought that he said that there was only 50 or something like that. And then the next day on his show, he was like, "And we sold out." And I was like, "Wow, that was really fast. Good for you."
We had no, I mean, this was the biggest, most complicated product that Daily Wire had ever sold. We had no idea. I mean, it's the most expensive product that they had ever sold either. We had no idea how it was going to be received. And it went live that morning. I remember being here in this shop, just pacing back and forth because I didn't get the notifications. It was being sold through their Shopify. So I'm like, I have no idea. And it was 3:00, and their team texted us and just said, "Hey, there's 6 left." And I read that and I was like, "Oh, wow." And
wow.
then over before it hit midnight or before it hit 9 a.m. the next morning, we had sold out.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about the suit makes it perfect for a smoking jacket? I know that there's a certain design, and there's also certain materials. I think he had the dawn and the dusk, right? Or he had, I think that was what he named it after. I mean, that's what his cigars are named. So he had the two different colors. He had the black and the violet or purple. But yeah, what about the suit makes it more suited for cigar smoke and for that type of an event?
So traditionally, smoking jackets are made out of velvet. So velvet is it's a way that cotton's woven, and it has a very high pile, kind of it's the reason why it's used on furniture. It's kind of like carpet, very plush. And the idea is when you're smoking a cigar, the ash, if it was to fall on your clothing, falls on and then sits on this little pile, and you can just brush it off very easily. Versus if you've ever smoked a cigar with a suit jacket and it falls on, you crush this gray stain into your jacket. So that's why, historically, smoking jackets are made out of velvet. So that's what we chose.
And I know it was $1,000 plus. Was the expense primarily the velvet, or is it the velvet plus the color plus kind of the insignia and all the little details that were on it that made it more expensive?
Yeah. So I think we priced them at $895, and the velvet, the with custom, the fabric always drives the price. So when you start getting into blends where you get wool and silk, you get wool and cashmere, you get nicer fibers added, it adds to that cost. We used a really nice velvet mill that I had visited when I was in Italy 3 years ago, that makes velvet for a lot of the designer fashion houses. And I remember being in their warehouse and seeing like these rolls of velvet up on the rack, and it would be like, Polo or, T Ford or Alexander McQueen, like all the stuff is up there. And I kind of filed that again into my memory bank. And then when we decided to do this, we wanted to blend, like, it needs to be kind of like it has to be accessible, but we also want to blow people away. And so, to be honest with you, we did not make our usual like desired business profit margin, but the goal was to get our name out there and to do a really cool collaboration, which is a total win for us. So I was happy to eat some of that for getting it out there and doing that collaboration with Michael.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a clip the other day that I I think I screen recorded and saved just because I wanted to post it when we post this episode. But Michael was on his show and he was talking about Shepards, and he said that I don't think the suit coat he was wearing was from y'all, but he said something to the effect of like, I wore one of their suit coats, like they sent me another suit coat, and now I want to have all of my suit coats made from them because it was so comfortable and fit so well that I just want to like literally throw away all my suit coats and just have them all remade through Shepards. So yeah, that's a good little ad for you guys.
It's unbelievably high praise. Michael has been, and it's part of the reason why we've leaned in so heavily to working with him. He's been such a wonderful supporter of us, and from the very beginning, when I made him that first suit, he was kind of instantly hooked. So yes, we've done a number of suits for him, both of which fairly formal, both navy blue, like worsted suits. But it's been an honor. Like when I open up YouTube and I see that he's interviewing, Donald Trump Jr., he's wearing a suit, or he's at the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast, he's wearing, it's the thing that he reaches for at those big occasions, which is so awesome.
Yeah. Looking at the next, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, what direction are you hoping to take the Shepard Suit Company? Because it seems like you're kind of doing two different things. You're trying to establish a local, very kind of communal place that anyone from Kansas City can walk in and get a good suit and talk to you in person. But at the same time, you're working with national figures like Michael Knowles and Harrison Butker and potentially others. I'm sure you have other people in the works that you're either trying to get or you're in the process of getting kind of on board. How do you keep that quality while at the same time keeping that communal aspect of, I wouldn't say a mom and pop shop, but kind of like that, where people walk in, they know your name, they know the type of suit they want, but also you're making suits for people in Hollywood or for people, that are celebrities more or less. Yeah. How do you juggle that? And what's Shepard's plan to kind of keep the same values, but also expanding onto, bigger horizons or bigger sponsorships and things like that?
Yeah. So I would say that the 5-year goal is to be in several locations. We have our shop in Kansas City. I'm going to run and spearhead that, and that is, God willing, where I'm going to, raise my family and settle down. Our goal is to open several markets in the next couple of years, which we've got our eyes on, like where those are at. The hardest part is finding the right person. So it has to be someone who is extremely knowledgeable and is detail oriented to do a really great job of fit, because that's what matters most. But at the same time, being approachable and having the kind of the heart of a servant to like really like do this out of love and passion. And that's really hard to find. So that's going to be our biggest hurdle as far as opening more spots. We're never going to be a gap that is in every city. I think a great success to us would be in 5 to 7 markets in the next 10 years, and to run the nice thing behind the business is you can run the business fairly lean, where a guy can go to, let's just like hypothetically just say Chicago. A guy can go to Chicago and we support them. We pay the rent, like open the shop, And once he hits a certain level of business, the business kind of self-sustains, and it's his book of business. And if he's hungry, he's going to grow that and continue to grow. But the only, real overhead is the person, and making sure that they're taken care of. So if you run things pretty lean and aggressive, you can be in a lot of markets and have a large presence despite you need to hire 30 people. So I think that's kind of where we see the next 5 years going, and even the next, 2 to 3 years. As far as the collaboration, when we started this, I saw the collaborations as if we're only going to be in Kansas City, it just gives us a stamp of validity that we work with, a bunch of athletes on the Chiefs or people in Hollywood, or it gives a small, mom and pop brand some credit that they're recognized outside of just their local market. And as we grow, I think that's only going to add to it. So that way, if we have a location one day in Chicago and in New York and in, wherever, the more people that we continue to work with, it only lends to the credibility of our brand. And we're seeking out people who are pretty values aligned, who are who have a very good sense of style, and who wear our clothing well. I think that comes across as much more natural and authentic than just hiring a model and taking pictures. I think seeing someone who's doing great work, like Michael, like Matt Walsh, like Harrison, wear our stuff just only adds to the credibility. It's not like, oh, hey, like this guy was paid to stand in a studio and take pictures. Like that's not our goal. I would rather have less people, like less famous people wearing our stuff and be interviewing the vice president wearing it than having a bunch of influencers
right,
just promoting it through Instagram ads. Yeah.
So who are you reaching out to get in touch with JD and Trump and like the Supreme Court justices and people like that?
If those were to happen, that would be the credit of the partnership we have with Harrison and Austin. Those two are really moving and shaking within not only the Catholic world, but the political world as well. So if that call ever did come, that would be through their efforts, for them being in the room, much like Harrison was in the Oval Office in Austin too. That would come from them. Because Harrison's a great walking representation of my work, and people will see it and go, wow, like that looks great. Like, where do you get your suits made? And then then that conversation starts.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up here quickly, but before we do that, where can people find you, either on Instagram, online, if they want to order a kit to, measure themselves and order a suit? What's that process look like, and where can people find you?
Yep. Shepards.com is the website. You can book a fitting for here in Kansas City if you're local, or you can purchase our virtual fitting kit, which is you fill out kind of your rough sizes. We send you out some of the try-on models, and then I actually get on Google Meets with you, and we go through and talk about how things fit, analyze what's comfortable to you, what looks good, etc. Shepard's is at Wear Shepherds, WEAR, Wear Shepherds on Instagram. My Instagram is at Nathaniel J. Price. So anyone can feel free to reach out anytime if they ever want to talk clothing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Nathan. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I think that our listeners definitely learned something. I know I did. And I think Brian probably did, although it's late here. So I don't know if the last half hour if he learned anything, but
no, Anthony was just thinking of every question that I was thinking about. So
that's what a good host does, right? But thanks for coming on, and thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. This is Doing Virtue,
Catholic podcast,
where virtue is what we do. Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.